Okay, how did you jump from white supremacist? So say that one more time. Anti-gay is okay now, is what you're saying?
Senator Block, do you have another question?
No, I will just finish my statement.
Okay,
Thank you.
So to answer him, is that okay?
On the white supremacy question, he has no other question.
Well, he threw out the...
I asked him if he had another question, and he said no. You may answer on his close, on your close.
As I read the bill, it not only applies to religion, but moral instruction. There are those in our society, unfortunately, who even in this day and age, feel that there are races or religious groups that are inferior to others. In my opinion, having read the bill, having talked to the author, while this wouldn't be the author's intent, of course, there could be those who teach discriminatory, anti-gay, anti-black, anti-Jewish lessons, and students could, under this bill, be excused from school to attend these lectures. And that, that troubles me. But what really troubles me about this bill is they would then be given state credit toward graduation for attending these lectures of hate and racism. Now, can anybody say, no, we won't let you teach that? It's okay to teach this in this religious school or this moral school, but it's not okay to teach that. And the answer is no. This bill doesn't set up a judge who says this is okay and this is not okay. This bill stays away from that because that would be an entanglement of religion and state. So again, I know the author is not happy with me, but I appreciate the author coming to my office. I appreciate the discussion, but I just think this bill is a horrible step for us in this chamber to take, and I urge my colleagues to vote it down.
Thank you, Senator Block. Senator Monning?
Thank you, Madam President. Members, I also want to thank the author for his diligence and engagement with members on this issue. I uphold his motives as being nothing but the most noble of motives, with the objective of achieving good for our communities. With that recognition, however, I join colleagues in opposition to this because of the slippery slope. We have established release time for students to pursue religious education. That's the status quo. So why do we need this bill? This bill changes that by offering academic credit for curriculum that is not under the scrutiny or review of people that our taxpayers are paying to review curriculum for its efficacy. The fundamental issue here is First Amendment, and it is the protection of that separation that our First Amendment calls for. It protects the absolute right of people to organize as a religion and generate philosophies that we might not agree with. Our schools cannot interfere with somebody pursuing religious ideology that we might not agree with. I think the example of white supremacist is not stretched. The author suggested that he wasn't aware of white supremacists who embrace religion. Well, in the not too distant past, and unfortunately still rearing its head, there are white supremacists who wear hoods and burn crosses and embrace their interpretation of the Bible in engaging in the most vicious, not just philosophy or ideology, but violence against people. So where do you draw the line? Who's going to be the arbiter of whether this falls within an area of religious study or moral study that we deem to be enhancing to a student's education versus crossing that line? A little more benign example, perhaps, but no less dangerous in my view, would be a religion that does not recognize equality marriage. We absolutely respect in our court decisions upholding the principle of equality marriage, the absolute right of religions not to agree with that. But for a religion to teach that to a student receiving credits paid for by taxpayers, that is crossing over. It does represent the violation of that separation. And a final point that has not been raised, the author and supporters have pointed to the fact that it would be local school districts that would decide, as if that is a further affirming aspect of this bill to provide local control. Well, what if I'm one of the parents who wants my child to get this elective credit outside of school, but my school board has voted no? We're going to see a proliferation potentially of lawsuits against the state of California, against those school districts, either supporting it or opposing it, because we won't have uniformity in the state of California. Would the response to that family be, you need to move to a district that has approved this and create greater segregation, religious segregation in our state, educational segregation, if you will? So again, I also appreciate the opportunity that this bill has provided us, and I think there is a takeaway even if this bill does not pass. And that takeaway is to absolutely respect the right of families to pursue religious or moral education for their children, and to recognize the existing opportunities for that under current law, and the right available and protected for every family in this country to pursue that on their own time and in their own fashion. Members, I urge a strong no vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Monning. Senator Nielsen?
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this bill doesn't necessarily embody a new idea for the California State Senate. So many years ago, there was actually a Senate Select Committee on character education and school finance, chaired by Senator Al Rada, one of the most respected members in the history of this Senate. Certainly the dean of school finance and the chairman of the finance committee for many years. And character education, in part, meant moral values. And that's what Al Rada talked about. And I was a member of that committee. And that committee, I say, did good work. And it did not launch us on any slippery slope whatsoever in terms of any dogmatic ideologies at all. It was a recognition that we had to be careful about character being instilled in our students. That was about respect for each other and for the institutions. I see that this is just an advancement of that same concept at the discretion. And I believe Senator Morale has been very careful about incorporating the checks and balances necessary to ensure constitutionality and rights, and that it is not abused. My point is, the California Senate has already been there. And I believe that committee lasted for several years, at least 4, I believe, if not more. We've been there. We have had a select committee on character education. This would do even less than that, and there would be far fewer people involved. I urge an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Nielsen. Senator Fuller?
There's just a couple of things I'd like to clarify. This is a great debate. And I appreciate all of you recognizing the great lengths that the author has went to talk to every one of you, to understand every opinion, and to try to make a perfect bill. Of course, there are no perfect bills. We've been told that for 1,000 times in 1,000 ways. And so it's important that we find a place to start. As a former school superintendent, the 3 things that I would just like to add to this conversation are, first, the standards are a floor, not a ceiling. And in fact, in our past history, local boards made up all of the standards or curriculum. And we got here and it went pretty well. It is also important to realize that if you look at the old textbooks, I have some of my grandmother's, there's moral instruction in them. And there actually was a modern component for many years that we all taught, which was character counts. Slowly, those things have dissipated away. And so I understand the call for people trying to find a legitimate path for their students to be able to access some of those things that were good, that have gone away, that need to be documented. This at this time is about documentation. It's not about the creation of a curriculum within a school. This is about courses that are just the time spent is being documented. And one of the standards has to be board-issued credit. That means an impartial panel elected by their peers decides if this is given credit or not. And that this credit would be from a state-credentialed teacher, and that this would be without state funding. I believe this is what the author tried to collect as he went around to all of you to see what would it take to come up with something that could be documented. And so for me, there isn't a blurred line. In teaching, there is and I was a teacher and I was an administrator, there's a very simple thing we used to say to one another so that we knew what law we had to follow. And that was that you could teach about religion. In fact, it was important to do so that everyone would have the facts. But you could not preach about the doctrine of religion. And that was the very clear line. In this case, every day our students, I would be literally, it would be so hard if I had to be a student today trying to get all of the credit and all of the 4+ GPA that you have to get. You can't just get the top of the top anymore. You basically have to have an above a 4.0. You have to have all kinds of credit documented of every kind. So for those students who have no way to document the things that are important to them, we need to create more pathways. Our society is very complex now. I would love to think that education could go on the way it is. I enjoyed my educational career tremendously, but it can't, because students need so many more unique choices now, and it needs to be documented because they're competing for the best slots at college and the best slots in business. They need as many choices as they can get. They need as many opportunities as we can document for them. So not just in this field, but in other fields, we need to figure out what is the pathway to broaden the choices our students can have as they attend public school. Because I love public school and I want to protect it. But I realize that public school is growing more constrained every day. The opportunities in public school are more constrained every day. And if we're going to have students be in public school, we have to find a way to expand those opportunities, and this is one way. Maybe not perfect yet, but I think all of you could make it more perfect. Thank you. I urge you to support this bill.
Thank you, Senator Fuller. Members, seeing no further discussion or debate, Senator Morrell, would you like to close?
I'd be happy to close. Thank you. Well, members, thank you for the lively discussion on this simple, non-controversial bill. A couple of things I want to run by. A lot of questions to answer. I'm not going to answer them all. Got a feeling I know how the vote's going to go. But one comment was made, we're going to give 1,000 school districts permission to do this bill. This government used to be a government of, by, and for the people. We probably tell everybody when we speak in our local municipalities that we believe in local control. I do believe in local control. I believe our parents and that school board is just as capable of making decisions for their children than we are, and even perhaps more so. Is it going to be 100% no? I invited the CTAN as well as the California Federation of Teachers into my office also. Had a pleasant conversation with them. We talked about many things, agreed on most. One of the things they brought up, a few of you did, about perhaps people being intolerant or discriminatory. So I asked them, is there any religion that you would point out to me to help walk me through that? They could name none. Second of all, I asked them, in all your years, have you ever heard of any complaints coming back to you? They said not one. So it's been a 100% track record to hopefully alleviate any fears and concerns. You can't do any better than that. That should be taken off the table. A couple other things, too. I think my senator friend from San Diego was asking about, who does this. In City of San Bernardino, the Unified School District employs a register, and part of her job, her name's Tracy, and Tracy looks and accepts credits from private schools, sees, like if it's coming from a private school and what should be acceptable in a public school. She's also the one that reviews the curriculum. So every school district's different, and they have the ability to sort of choose the curriculum and walk through it. And again, I can't do any better. A couple of people cited, well, I cited the fourth, I'm leaning on the fourth Court of Appeals for this and the 10th Court of Appeals for a decision, but the Supreme Court twice affirmed this opinion that this was not a violation of Establishment Clause. And regarding the Legislative Council Bureau that pointed out that I read, that was actually the CTA asked me to get an opinion. The Supreme Court wasn't good enough for them, nor the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, nor the 10th Circuit, so they thought this was a neutral third party. They wanted us to get that, and it clearly states in there, and they cite section code of the California Constitution that it does not violate the Constitution of California, nor our First Amendment rights. But, I guess we're entitled to our own opinion, but not our own facts, but not sure how to bring that to a point here. And so lastly, I think, again, I've done everything I can to prove that this costs the taxpayers money, or no money at all. And lastly, I think the only thing I want to say is we've had 60 years of sort of this new movement in school of moving faith. Once America was #1 in almost every category, so it's time to tally the score. We have all these isms today of progressivism, nihilism, relativism, and all sorts of isms that's been a dozen incompatible philosophies that we sort of be teaching our students. And so where have we gone from 60 years ago? We've gone from #1, the envy of the world in education, to, depending on what polling you read, anywhere from 17th to 19th, and then things like literacy, we're 23rd. And so again, the ancients, people much wiser than myself, which isn't a hard thing to do, but I stand on the shoulders of those who possess a superior political, philosophical, and theological view than myself. And again, greats like Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, Augustine, Thomas Aquinas, John Locke, Benjamin Rush, and again, the one who sums it up for me, I think, is Alexis de Tocqueville, the French philosopher in Democracy in America, talks about these things and why America was doing so well. And all these people believed that the true education, that's what classical liberal arts education used to be. That's what Harvard, Yale, Stanford, and all the Ivy Leagues were based on, is integrating the intellect with the soul. I do not know or even pretend to know more than they did. And so that's why I stand on those shoulders. This is one of the things our children need, and it does not violate the First Amendment. And I clearly stand on our First Amendment and would appreciate if you guys would also support our foundational principles and ask for an aye vote. But thanks for your time.
Thank you, Senator Morell. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Anderson? Aye. Bates? Aye. Bell? Berryhill? Aye. Block? No. Cannella? Aye. DeLeon? Fuller? Aye. Gaines? Aye. Galgiani? Aye. Glazer? Hall? No. Hancock? No. Hernandez? No. Hertzberg? Hill? No. Hueso? Huff? Aye. Jackson? No. Lada? No, Leno. No, Leyva. Liu. No, McGuire. No, Mendoza. Mitchell. No, Monning. No, Morlock. I, Morell. I, Wynn. I, Nielsen. I, Pan. Pavley. No, Roth. Runner. Stone. I, Vidak. I, Wykowski. No, Wolk. No,
Please call the absent members.
Allen. Bell. De Leon. Glazer. No, Hertzberg. Hueso. Leyva. Mendoza. I, Pan. Roth. No, Runner.
Senator Morell, do you wish to move to call? Mr. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Allen. Bell. De Leon. Hertzberg. Hueso. Leyva. Pan. Runner.
Ayes 15, no 17, measure fails. Move for reconsideration. Senator Morell, do you want to move reconsideration?
I would appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. So moved. Reconsideration is granted. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll for reconsideration.
Allen. Anderson. Bates. I, Bell. Berryhill. Block. I, Canella. I, De Leon. Fuller.
Members, we are voting on a motion for reconsideration. Please proceed, Mr. Secretary.
Fuller. I, Gaines. I, Galgiani. Glazer. I, Hall. Hancock. Hernandez. Hertzberg. I, Hill. I, Hueso. Huff. I, Jackson. I, Lara. I, Leno. I, Leyva. I, Liu. McGuire. I, Mendoza. I, Mitchell. I, Monning. I, Morlock. I, Morell. I, Wynn. I, Nielsen. I, Pan. I, Pavley. I, Roth. I, Runner. Stone. I, Vidak. I, Wykowski. Wolk. Wolk, I.
Please call the absent members.
Allen. I, Anderson. I, Bell. I, Berryhill. I, De Leon. Galgiani. I, Hall. Hancock. I, Hernandez. I, Hueso. I, Liu. I, Runner. Wykowski. I.
Ayes 37, no 0. Reconsideration is granted. Thank you, members. File item 21, Senator Jackson. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1190 by Senator Jackson, an act relating to the California Coastal Commission.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, this is a government transparency bill. The recent firing of the executive director of the California Coastal Commission has resulted in a high degree of public uncertainty, accusations of a lack of transparency in the decision-making process, and concerns of undue influence